because of the way the NBA has been marketed, positively and negatively, I'll say wildly positively to be honest, we forget that it's really a team game. And we get so into the individuals because the marketing of the NBA is based on the superstars. Oh, Michael Jordan, oh, Hakeem Olajuwon, oh, Dirk Nowitzki. Like we worry about the individual stars. I mean, they're the reason we come out to watch the game. And for those who really understand basketball, the plays that are run and the opportunities that those plays that are run are meant to create. And that leads me to Scottie Pippen. Like, I think a lot of people don't truly understand basketball, and so they don't really understand why Scottie Pippen is so valuable. Number one, Michael Jordan always raved and ranted about Scottie Pippen. From him working on Michael's mindset, to him being second in command, the style he plays, what he means on both sides of the court, some of the things he did as a player that weren't really a thing until he did them. And I think it's all because if you look at like raw numbers, it would be easy to be like, okay, he averaged 16 points, 6 boards and 5 assists. Not bad at all, but okay, and this the guy y'all want me to respect is like the second, the Robin to the Batman when Batman is averaging 30. And I'm like, yeah, that's the guy we want you to respect, because at the end of the day, Michael himself has said, without Scottie, there is no me. We don't win without him. That's all you need to hear. But the issue I have with most sports fans is you're a bunch of emotional adults. This ain't about basketball. This is about you needing to be correct. I talk about this till I'm blue in the face to some of these people. They talk about LeBron and he's not really that good. And I'm like, he's not really that good? How many more things is he going to do that nobody else has done? And you still saying he's not that good? Okay. LeBron James is not as likable of a caricature as Michael Jordan was. That's all it is. I think Michael's better than LeBron, but my point is, you're not talking about the detailed reasons from a beautiful perspective of basketball why Michael's better. You just don't like LeBron. So it's easy to go, because psychologically speaking, I talked in another video about being adult to understand psychology. Psychologically speaking, when you like something, you give it credit sometime it doesn't even deserve. And sometimes when you hate something, you criticize it more harsh than it deserves. We see this all the time in relationships. When a woman is happy, oh, this is great. The moment she's not with him, sex wasn't that great and, this wasn't that great. Either that's really true and you ignored it at the time because you liked them, or you're mad now because you're not together and your emotions are into it. So now your hurt emotions need to channel some frustration, so you're just spitting off, oh, it wasn't that. And I feel like a lot of the time that's what happens in sport. Because we get so into the superstars, the supporting cast ends up being like not that good in people's minds. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, Scottie Pippen, let me read this. Scottie Pippen literally is a 6-time champion. He played 17 years. He's a 7-time All-Star. Trust me, that ain't a little bit. Some of y'all gonna be like 17 years, 7-time All-Star. It's people play 18 years and never made All-Star game. Jamaal Crawford, for instance. Jamaal Crawford played 18 NBA seasons, 19 NBA seasons. I feel like if he, even at an old age, was comfortable with the hustle and bustle it took to really make the league, to still play in the league, I think Jamaal Crawford could still ball. Right? He's probably out in Seattle, was a crossover league, like Jamaal Crawford crossover league. That was clever. I think he could still hoop in the league. Like, I'm not saying he'd be LeBron with it, but even at an older age, he could still hoop. But he maybe made 1, 2, maybe a couple All-Star games. Like, making an All-Star team ain't easy, bruh. And 7 out of 17 seasons is 41% of the time. That's not that far from half your career being an All-Star. It's just not. You feel me? Like, 7-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA first team. And this is the thing for me. 8-time All-NBA defense from 1992 straight through to 1999. 1994 All-Star Game MVP. We knew that one. 1995 steals leader. Olympic gold medalist, 92 and 96. And I do think him being, one of the 50 greatest of all time was kind of due to when he played. I do think that. Because by that time, what he had accomplished was like, oh my God, this guy is great. I think we have seen some better forwards since him, obviously, like LeBron. Like we talk about the next, 25 guys, like the top 75 in 2022. I honestly think if the NBA had waited, like, I don't see the NBA like shutting down or becoming defunct anytime soon. But if they had waited for some of these lists until like it was over, pretty much the NBA like was going away, I think some of this would change. Because I think guys like LeBron, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, Tim Duncan, I think they would technically be top 50. Now, being top 75 is not bad because it's basically an acknowledgement of we have to extend this list past 50 at this point, and you guys are the next crop. So it's not a denigration, a disrespect, or anything like that. But I'm just saying, I think, some of these guys nowadays would be in that top 50 if they redid the list. Like Patrick CC says, stay hydrated. But I'm just sometimes I'm not sure people understand these things. Like even in 91 and 2000, he wasn't all NBA first team defense, but he was second team. That's still a high honor. So that means in 17 years, he made 10 all defensive teams. That's like 52%, 53%. So now we're not just talking about a guy who averaged 16 points. We're talking about a guy who, in his prime next to Michael, averaged closer to 19, maybe even 20 at times, gave you 5 to 6 assists, 6 rebounds a game, steals leader one year, played hellacious defense. Like, that's the stuff people don't talk about. Michael had, 10 scoring titles, great. But Michael Jordan also was 9-time All-NBA first team on defense, which means for basically the better part of a decade, you're the best scorer in the league and the best defender at the shooting guard spot. And then you got Scottie on your team, and he's giving you 19 a game, 20 a game, right? Back when 20 to me was the gold standard of scoring. I think now it's 25 because it's much easier. The floor is more spread out, it's less physical, and they take more three-pointers, which means the points will add up faster. Back when 20 was the gold standard, he was giving you 19. And 6 boards. And 5 to 6 assists. And for the better part of a decade, he was the best small forward defender in the league, next to Michael. Like, I always say it's harder to truly appreciate the impact that defense really has on basketball. We got all of these stats, box plus minus and value over replacement and all these different things to really track offensive impact. But it's not as easy to track defensive impact because it's like with scoring, you shoot, you make it. You shoot, you miss, right? How long did you play? And for that time you were on the court, how did you impact your team's ability to win or score? And then when you're off the floor, how well did they score? It's easy to track that, but how do you track a guy who can lock down a defender on the wing? How do you track that? You can't really track it. So it's harder in a sense to appreciate the raw two-wayness of Scottie Pippen. And then on top of that, you had a guy who was the first real point forward. I'm not saying he was the first small forward that passed because Larry was before him. Larry could pass, he averaged 6 assists a game, but Scottie was the first point forward archetype. Not only did you get an athletic small forward wing who can score pretty well, play defense, pass the ball, but he brought the ball up the court. He initiated plays. Like Scottie was really like Mr. Swiss Army knife pretty much until LeBron showed up. Some of the remarks Scottie has made, me and Michael weren't that close. I never really went to his house. I didn't play golf with him. I don't find that hard to believe. Just because guys are, the best two players on the team or rely on each other heavily, it's no different than you having a job, and while you at that job, you really like one of your coworkers, and then when you leave, y'all don't really talk that much. Some stuff is for a time period. It don't last long. Now, outside of that, when Scottie keep talking about, he said he was just as good as Michael or could have been better than Michael. Like, he said some outlandish things, and it's like, all right, now, Scottie, wait a minute. But I understand he probably frustrated. He keep having people tell him he not that good, and I'm just like, are y'all really paying attention? I do a lot of studying. I read a lot of statistics and analytics, and I watched the Bad Boy Pistons documentary. Even Mark Aguirre said on the documentary, Michael Jordan is Michael. He's the best player on the planet. He just needed some help. And in that 1991 series against the Pistons, albeit, he grew up. He flat out said that Scottie grew up. That was the year when flagrant fouls first hit the NBA. Because again, in the 80s, in the whole physical era, which it was physical, really to me, it was kind of on some level like illegal basketball. You should not be able to do some of the things they did on the court. Magic and Isaiah, best friends, they kiss at half court to start the game on the cheek. And then when the game starts, Isaiah drives down the lane, Magic jumps and throws an elbow. That's not defense. But okay, let's overly credit the physicality of the 80s. Sure, fine. The point is, when you look at 90s, 91 flagrant fouls. So you can't do this overly defensive, physical. You can't do it anymore. When Dennis Rodman shoved Scottie out of bounds and could have hurt him, and Scottie got up and just like, all right, cool. At that point, they were like, yeah, if you're not reacting to that, y'all used to cry like little punks and sissies when we fouled y'all. If you're not reacting to that, there's nothing we really can even do in this series. Scottie Pippen growing up is a large part of why Chicago became Chicago. As much as we can bellyache about LeBron and the all-star teammates he's had and all of this help he's had, the truth of the matter is, I always say to people, Michael Jordan never had to play an entire final series without Scottie. Don't gloss over that like that's so what? No, that's something. He never had to play a whole series without Scottie. 1990 Game 7 Eastern Conference Finals, Scottie had a migraine. It wasn't himself even though he was on the court. He was trying to decoy, couldn't pull his weight, and they lost. Now, I give Michael his credit. 1998 Game 6 against Utah in the finals. Scottie had back spasms, but he was out there doing the best he could. Michael scored 45 points just to get them over the hump. Cool. But the point is, Michael never had to, hey man, we don't have Scottie for this whole series, bro. We just don't. We just gonna have to figure it out. So people will run LeBron in the hole about his finals record. I'm like, are you being honest? What did you expect him to do? Some of that be bad expectation. Like, y'all, you think LeBron the GOAT if he's supposed to just win anyway. You think he's the GOAT. Because that's dumb. Ain't no logic in that. But because that's what you think Michael Jordan did, you're trying to hold LeBron to that standard. That ain't even close to what Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan had a great coach and a great supporting cast that was built over time. And at the end of the day, I'm not penalizing Michael for that because you still got to go out and win. And in my opinion, there's not a better winner in sports. Second would be Tom Brady. But there's not a better winner in sports. There's nobody better when you have the game on the line than Michael. But we got to stop pretending that Scottie was not Scottie, man. Scottie was everything Michael needed. Scottie took the hardest defensive assignments at times. You know what I'm saying? Like, took some pressure off of Michael. You feel me? Like, it's real, man. Y'all got to start respecting Scottie Pippen more, man. Scottie Pippen was the best number 2 option of all time. And the crazy thing is, when it comes to LeBron again, people say Anthony Davis is his, best teammate. I think it's Kyrie Irving. If they stayed together, they might have been able to win a little more. Like maybe not 17 and 18, but maybe 19. Kevin Durant was hurt in 19. Maybe they win 19. Maybe they win 20 because LeBron went, he won in the bubble with AD in 20. Maybe they win 20. Who knows? But, all in all I'm saying is really learn basketball. Really watch game film. I watch a lot of Thinking Basketball Channel and, stuff like that, Secret Base. They'll crunch the numbers and they'll show you analytically why Scottie was so important. There were some seasons that Michael's supporting cast was good, literally, even if he wasn't on the court. It was, that's a big deal, But give Scottie his credit. Scottie Pippen was damn excellent as a basketball player. Shout out to Scottie Pippen. Stop saying some of the nonsense you're saying. But shout out to Scottie Pippen.